NATO does not challenge Russia's security, but Russian imperialism? Estonian Prime Minister.
Here's a summary of the article.
Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas has stressed that Estonia's accession to the North Atlantic Alliance was the country's free choice, and Russia's claim that NATO enlargement threatens its security is a fiction. In an interview with the following her speech during the Shangri-La Dialogue Security Conference in Singapore, as reported by European Pravda. Details. Speaking at the conference, the Estonian Prime Minister refuted the NATO-related Russian narrative. Quote, "Joining NATO was the free will of the Estonian people, which no one forced on us. Here the narrative is of a NATO expansion that has nothing to do with the will of its members. That is what I am here to break down," she explained. She also pointed out that those who accuse NATO of expansion and escalation are adopting the imperialist rhetoric and ideology promoted by Russia. NATO is not a threat to Russian security, just Russian imperialism, Kallas stated. Background. The UK's Defence Secretary Ben Wallace believes that NATO must force member states to increase their military spending if the alliance intends to effectively deter Russia and deal with other threats to transatlantic security.
This post received a score of 8,800, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
NATO is not a threat to Russian security, just Russian imperialism, Kallas stated. Yup, very succinct.
Brevity is the soul of wit, Shakespeare.
Me think, why waste time say lot word, when few word do trick? Kevin.
Kevin was never known for his eloquence. Yet he seemed to tap into a simple wisdom previously known only in fortune cookies. But I digress. Just like Kevin.
That poor pot of chili.
It's probably the thing I do best.
Russia says they need buffer states between them and NATO countries to be secure, as though they are owed friendly political regimes regardless of what the population of those countries want. Russia says they need client states to buy their weapons to fund their mic and development so that they can be strong to fight NATO, as though this is something that the rest of the world has to provide them. Both China and Russia claim to be owed imperialist expansion. It's absurd arguments of some kind of privilege where they can't be opposed by others.
Russia wants buffer states but then goes ahead and occupies one of them, Ukraine. Finland never even considered joining NATO until Russia started annexing its neighbors. So I agree with Estonian PM, a burglar alarm only intimidates burglars.
Yep, Russia had buffer states. They tried removing them in this war, now there's no buffer.
Greater than they tried removing them in this war. They've been doing that since long before the current war. At least Moldova and Georgia. The first Ukraine invasion in 2014 was when they truly turned Ukraine away from being their buffer state.
We don't want to attack you, we just don't want you invading your neighbors, as it's clear you will when given the opportunity.
It's the reverse. Meet me in the middle card. Get back. You're threatening my security. You take 10 steps back. They take 10 steps forward. Get back. You're threatening my security.
I'd also just like to point out that Russia isn't the only country in the world that desires security, and, for a lot of Russia's neighbors, that tends to mean security from Russian attack.
Moscow doesn't understand the difference.
This is the real problem. To Putin they are the same thing.
More than Putin. It is true that many Russians are against war. However, it is also true that it is a very popular sentiment in Russia that the decline of Russian influence is a great travesty that should be reversed, even if they don't support it being done by bloody expensive wars. Because they have no experience of any other kind of influence, they see their desire to influence Eastern Europe and Central Asia as no different than how the US exerts influence over NATO or amongst its allies in Asia, or how Germany exerts influence over the EU.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.